Welcome everyone to the Chichester College Group UCAS and Higher Education webinar. We'll just wait for a few more people to join us before we get started on the presentation. If you have got any technical issues and you need some assistance, if you can use the chat function, and we will try and help you with that. Equally, if you've got any questions that you want to raise during the presentation, please use the Q&A and we'll get back to your questions. So I think we seem to have got the majority of people in. So let me just start off by just reminding people, if you've got questions, please use the Q&A function on the webinar. And if you have any technical issues, please use the chat function, and then we will try and help you with anything that you need help with. So thank you for joining us this evening for the Chichester College Group's UCAS and Higher Education event. I believe we've probably got an audience of students, parents and carers. So hopefully this event will provide you with information that will be of help to all of you. So next slide, please. Okay, so I'm Carol Findon and I'm the Pastoral Support Manager for Crawley and Haywards Heath colleges. And I also have the job of overseeing the UCAS progress for these campuses. This evening, I'm joined by a team of staff that are experts in their field that's supporting students to take their next step into higher education. Tonight, we'll be providing you with a great deal of advice and guidance that will help students to consider their next step and give parents and carers information to be able to support their young people to make very important decisions about their future. There are over 395 higher education providers in the UK, which includes the Chichester College Group. So we'll refer to CCG, and that's what Chichester College Group is. And UCAS, the Universities and Colleges Admission Service, lists over 50,000 undergraduate courses on their website. Given this amount of choice, the earlier we can get students to start considering where they may want to be in the future years, the better. That date can be a long way off, but it really isn't. Tonight you will hear about the support and opportunities that are available at the college, the importance of research and how the UCAS application process works, as well as an overview of student finance. This event is scheduled to run for about an hour, and we will complete the evening with a question and answer session. So firstly, I'm going to highlight to you the support that CCG offer for moving into higher education. As a college group, we start thinking about the student's next step as soon as they arrive with us, not only through their qualifications, but also through developing their skills they need for moving on. In tutoring one-to-ones, they discuss their future options and they are signposted to the support that is available to them or set targets to develop their knowledge on progression steps. For moving into higher education, there is a wide range of fantastic support available. The Progression Plus teams are available at all our colleges and are key in supporting and providing information, advice and guidance. Students are able to book one-to-one advice and guidance meetings. Parents and carers are welcome to attend. One-to-ones give students the opportunity to explore their options and where individualised action plans will be developed. There are weekly UCAS drop-ins and opportunities that run from September through to the January deadline. Every application is checked by a member of staff before it is sent to UCAS to ensure no errors have been made. Throughout the summer break, workshops are offered, which offer students help with researching higher education institutions and courses, as well as help with the UCAS application process and personal statements. The curriculum areas invite the Progression Plus teams into the classroom to run UCAS information sessions, and the team offer students the opportunity to get feedback on personal statements. They are also supported by local universities, and it is these who run personal statement clinics for our students, offering personalised feedback. Progression Plus organise an annual October HE fair. Last year it was virtual, but in more normal times, over 40 HE institutions attend from around the country, and students are able to speak to representatives and find out information about courses and what it's like to study at a higher level. Progression Plus also work very closely with students who wish to make priority applications for Oxford, Cambridge, medicine, dentistry and veterinary, to ensure that they are fully equipped to make the best competitive application and meet the priority deadline. They will continue to work with all students once their applications have been sent, and will advise on offers they receive, and will work on interview techniques and offer mock interviews for those students offered an interview. The support we offer, the events and deadlines are all promoted on social media, through the ACES programme and on display boards throughout the campuses. For our students in the audience tonight, please ensure you keep up to date with all the information that is available to you. We very much encourage our students to be independent learners in preparation for life after college. But parents, carers, please encourage your young people to take responsibility in seeking out and engaging with the support that is on offer to them. I will now hand over to my colleague Alistair, who's going to speak to you about the importance of finding the right course.
Thank you very much, Carol. Yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about researching your course. It's very likely if you are listening to this now, you might not know at all what course you want to do. A lot of people don't know at this stage. Some of you might be really set on, I want to apply to this course at these universities, but some of you might not be so sure, and that's fine. There's lots of things you can do to try and research courses and look at the different options that are available. And I'm going to talk a little bit now about where you can look and what the different things to look at are. So if you just skip on to the next slide, please, Leanne. So there's a few different sites here. So the main one in the top left corner is the UCAS website, and you're going to use this when completing your applications. And you'll use that, whether you are staying at Chichester College Group, perhaps you want to do an HE course here, or if you're going elsewhere, you'll do that all through the UCAS site. So the UCAS site, as well as being a place to complete your application, is also a place to research courses. Every higher education course is on the UCAS website, and there's a really great search function on there where you can look at different courses, and you could perhaps compare courses at different universities or colleges. Perhaps you want to study psychology, but you have no idea where, so you can look at all the different institutions that study psychology. Perhaps you want to do a joint honours and you think, oh, I want to do psychology and something else. What are the different things I can do with that? Perhaps you want to do psychology and maths or psychology and law, etc. You can look at what different combinations are offered by different places. There's also a number of sites other than UCAS, kind of external third parties that compare universities. So the Uni Guide, the Complete University Guide, and whatuni.com are great for finding out additional information about university courses. There's a lot of information on these from students, where past and current students of different colleges and universities talk about their experience, the pros and cons of different universities. And the Complete Guide is brilliant because there you can compare universities on different things. Perhaps you want to know what the student experience of the course is, or perhaps if you're moving to a new town, you want to know what the student's experience of the city is, or you want to know whether students thought the university offered them good mental health support, or whether it was too expensive to live in that city. There's loads of different factors you can look at, and these websites are good for giving you all that extra information about your course or where it is you're studying. Also a great place is the university website. So first example there is University of Brighton. Perhaps you want to study at Brighton, so you go to that university website and you look on their information, on their course, on what it involves. So perhaps you want to know what modules you're studying, what lecturers you have, what kind of split between coursework, essays and exams you have, the different support available, the accommodation, all these things. It's a great place to look is the institution website itself. So if you could just skip on to the next slide, please, Leanne. So there's a number of different things to look at, because the first step might be deciding that you want to study a certain course. So maybe you decided, okay, I want to study maths, or I want to study whatever you want to study. But choosing exactly what course and what college or university you're going to go to, there's a lot of kind of factors involved with it. So there's a number I've listed here. So the top left one, course content. I mean, wanting to know what's actually on your course is a really big part of that. Different courses will have different modules at different universities. So psychology in one university or one college might be different to psychology somewhere else. So you might want to look at what they're studying and think, oh, that institution offers something I'm really interested in, so I want to go there. So yeah, the content's a big part of it, because that's what you're going to be studying for a few years. So the content and the different modules involved are really important. Lecturers and key staff. I know from personal experience that the lecturers and teachers you have make a huge difference. And I'm sure you've had that experience at college and at school throughout your lives already. So there might be a really highly rated teacher who has loads of good reviews and is really good at teaching, or it might be someone who has research in a field you're really interested in. You might look and there might be a particularly big name or famous lecturer or teacher at a college or university that you really want to learn from. So the lecturers and staff at the university are worth looking at. The assessment style, this makes a really big difference. So perhaps you're someone that you really like doing exams and you don't really like coursework, or the opposite, you really struggle with exams and you'd much rather have coursework heavy modules, or you're like me and you really like a balance between the two. And I find, I remember when I went to university, I remember deliberately choosing modules that were a bit of a balance between the two, so I could not have too many exams at one time or too much coursework at one time, because that can be very overwhelming if you have 20 exams in a few weeks, or have loads of coursework to do at once. So maybe you want a balance, or you want one or the other. So it's worth looking at what the assessment style of your course is as well. And this would be available on your university's website. Institution and location, obviously that's huge. You could stay at the Chichester College Group, you might stay at Chichester or wherever you're doing your course here. You might also decide to go elsewhere. You could stay at a local university, such as Chichester or Brighton or Sussex or Portsmouth, or you might go further afield. You could even go abroad. And these are good things to think about, whether you want to be close to home, whether you want to live away from home or carry on living with your parents or where you're living now, or perhaps you want to try living in a new town. And then if that is the case, it's worth looking at those places and thinking, is this somewhere I want to live? Is this university in a big city? Is it out in the countryside? Is it by the sea? Is it somewhere else? It's worth thinking about, is this a place I'm willing to live for the next few years of my life? And the league tables. So they were on the previous slide, and there'll be links available to them after this presentation. If you look at the university league tables online, there might be a really good university, but for your course, it might be very lowly rated. So it's worth looking at the league tables, and the league tables compare not just the courses and the quality of the courses, but the quality of the student life as well. So the students might say, oh, this college was really unsupportive of us, or, oh, this college was great. They had a really good union that was really involved in student life, and there are loads of activities. So it's worth looking at the league tables to compare, not just how highly rated is it for this course, but how highly rated is it for student life and the support of the college and the town around the institution as well. Cool, please move on. So there's loads of resources to look at. So I linked to you some websites before, but there's also loads of resources at the college to look at. So if you go to CCG online, which you should all have access to, and then go to the Progression Plus Moodle. So you can see that there's a little button with a plus, which is Progression Plus. So if you were to click that, you'd be taken through to this screen here. And there's loads of information here, and these links are loads of PDFs and infographics and documents, or they link to other websites as well. So there's one that's selected there is the Parent Carers Advice and Guidance. So that's like information for parents about higher education choices. Then there's also two below there, you'll see university and higher education. That has loads of resources that are all about choosing your university courses, and the UCAS applications as well. So that gives you loads of information on doing your actual application to UCAS, which can be quite a lengthy process, but there's loads of support available there. So if you want more help, you can go to there, and you can also, of course, always contact us or Progression Plus after the session. So if you just move on, Leanne. Great, yeah, that's everything from me on that. So please do check out those resources and look at those resources after this session. And if you want any more advice on choosing courses, you're also free to come to Progression Plus. But now I'm going to pass over to Karen, who's going to talk about the higher education courses we have available here at the Chichester College Group.
Hi everyone, thanks Alistair. Before I talk about the different courses that we've got at the Chichester College Group, Carol gave a really good overview of the support that's available for anybody that is looking to go on to higher education. My role at the college is I'm responsible for the HE provision, and part of that role is around sort of progression into higher education. And Alistair is one of my team, and he is employed by Sussex Learning Network to deliver an Office for Students sponsored UniConnect programme, which is about widening participation into higher education. So our UniConnect team are available for support. And I also have my colleague Leanne, who's our progression coach. So she will arrange for universities to come in. She'll go out to the curriculum areas to talk about our HE offer within those different curriculum areas. So they're just two other sort of points of contact if you've got any further sort of queries about higher education, and they actually work within the higher education team. A lot of people don't realise that you don't have to go to university to study a university level course. You can actually stay at Chichester College to study a higher education course at level 4, level 5 or level 6. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the offer that we've got at Chichester College Group. So if you can move on, Leanne, that'd be great. So first of all, we just want to show you a really short video. It's less than a minute, just to give you a flavour of the higher education at the Chichester College Group. Great, thanks, Leanne. So as you can see, we do offer a wide range of courses at higher education level at the Chichester College Group, and there are a number of benefits to you for studying in an FE college. And first of all, I hope you've really got a flavour that there is outstanding support. So as well as the support for you for your career progression and your progression onto higher education, we also have pastoral support. So we have HE coaches allocated to all of our HE students. They can help you with any questions or queries that you might have, or you're struggling with your course for something unrelated to your academic studies. And we've got lots of support out there that we can signpost you to for various problems that you might be facing that are affecting your academic study. Another benefit of studying at the college is we do have smaller class sizes, and we do have more class contact hours. So you will be in college face to face with your teachers more often than if you study at university. And obviously you'll get access to more sort of one-to-one support because of the smaller class sizes. We have industry experienced lecturers, so all of our lecturers that deliver our higher education courses have worked in the industry and have got industry experience, and they've also got really good links with local employers. And we also, as a college group, have lots of employers that work with us. And as I said earlier on, we do get employers to come in and talk to you about the career opportunities that are available at the end of your higher education courses. And that really sort of brings me on that we are really career focused. So as a college group, not only are we there to make sure that you get really good grades at the end of the courses that you study with us, but it's also about what you then progress on to. And obviously we're very, very keen that our students do progress on to courses where they have to use their qualification. So they're what we call graduate level employment. And that's sort of part of the career offer that we have at the college. And really, finally, and probably quite an important point for many people, is that our courses are cheaper than a lot of university courses. So for instance, if you studied a higher national diploma with us, the fees are £6,500 a year. Whereas if you went to university and did a 3-year undergraduate degree, you would be paying £9,250 per year. So although it is lower cost, we do have those benefits that I've mentioned before with smaller class sizes and sort of more individual support. Thanks, Leanne. So just to sort of give you a view of the courses that we do offer, some people are really not quite sure about the different levels. So we talk about level 3, level 4, level 5. So with regard to higher education, we're looking at level 4, level 5, level 6. So the types of courses that we offer at the Chichester College Group are higher national certificates and higher national diplomas, and they're awarded by Pearson. So any of you that are studying a BTEC qualification, you're more than likely to be studying through Pearson's, and you sort of roughly get an idea of the types of qualification they are. We also offer foundation degrees. Now they're slightly different, and some students get those muddled up with what we call the foundation year, which is almost like year 0 of a university course. But a foundation degree is a level 5 qualification, so it's the equivalent of the first 2 years of a university degree, and they're very vocationally based qualifications. We offer foundation degrees, for instance, in engineering, in business, and we're hoping to get validated our furniture design and manufacture course, which we're hoping to deliver from 2022. But I hope that gives you an idea that they're very vocationally relevant and they're very work-based. So we'll be getting employers in to help you with your courses, and they've helped us develop our foundation degree courses. The foundation degrees are validated by local universities. So we work with Portsmouth University and the University of Chichester. So when you get your qualification, your certificate will actually be awarded by the university that validates your award. We do higher apprenticeships. So we do level 4 and level 5 higher apprenticeships. And we also do some top-up degrees. So for instance, if you decided to do your higher national diploma in business or the foundation degree in business with us, you could then stay at the college for an extra year and get a full undergraduate degree, which is awarded by the University of Chichester. And just before you move on, Leanne, the picture that we've got on there is actually of our graduation ceremony this year. So you can see that when you study with us, you will get a graduation ceremony exactly as if you would if you went to a university. Thanks, Leanne. So just really to give you an idea of some of the qualifications that you can study at the Chichester College Group at a higher level. We do animal care and management and horticulture at our land-based college at Brinsbury. We do art and design at the Chichester campus. I've mentioned business and management, which you can either do an HN, a foundation degree, or a top-up degree. We do computing and digital technology, construction and engineering at Crawley and Chichester. We do education and early years foundation degree, and we also do the top-up degree. And some of our new courses that we've recently had validated. So we have a course that we're running on sustainable food production. I've mentioned the engineering, which is future design and technology. And as I say, we're having our furniture design and manufacture course validated at this very moment, ready for 2022. And then we do travel and tourism and hospitality at Chichester, and we do a foundation degree in sport, health and exercise science at Worthing College. And you then have the option to follow different pathways if you wanted to do your top-up degree at the University of Chichester. And the final one I just want to talk about, we do performance, but with dance we do a foundation degree in dance with the University of Chichester, and you also have the opportunity within that course to do a professional teaching qualification for dance. So you can see that our qualification offer is very wide, but also there are some added extras and differences with some of the courses that we offer. Thanks, Leanne. Okay, I'm now going to pass over to my colleague James, who's going to talk to you about your UCAS application and writing your personal statement.
Thank you very much, Karen, and yes, good evening to you all. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the UCAS application process and a few bits and pieces about personal statements as well. If we could have the next slide, please. Okay, so first thing to be aware of are the deadlines to do with UCAS applications. And you can see that there are two deadlines here. There's a college deadline and there's the actual UCAS deadline. And the reason we have a college deadline that's before the UCAS deadline is to ensure that we've got plenty of time to make sure that the reference is written and attached to the application. And also because the team, the Progression Plus team, we spent time to check over, read over all the applications to ensure that they are as good as they can be. Okay, you can see here we also have a priority deadline. So priority are for those students who are looking to apply for Oxford, Cambridge, but also for other early applications such as medicine, veterinary science, and also dentistry. So they have internal deadline of 1st of October, and their applications will go from the 15th of October to UCAS. So for all other applications, the internal deadline is the 1st of December. Okay, so we hope that all students will be able to submit their application by then, so that we can then make sure that it's definitely got to UCAS by the 26th of January next year. Next slide, please, Leanne. Okay, so when you're making a UCAS application, you'll be going onto the UCAS website, ucas.com, and you can apply for up to 5 courses. You don't have to apply for all 5, but you have a maximum of 5 choices. If you are applying for priority medicine, veterinary, dentistry, you can apply for up to 4 of those courses and then 1 as a backup. If you're applying for Oxford and Cambridge, okay, you can only apply for 1 of them. Okay, you can't apply for both Oxford and for Cambridge. But obviously you still have 4 other choices as well as either Oxford or Cambridge when you're applying. There is a cost to the application, okay, and as you can see here, if you're just doing 1 choice for UCAS, it's £22. But if you are doing 2 or more choices, okay, the cost for your application will be £26.50. Okay, and you know they will pay and send once they've completed their application, and that will be the application fee. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so when you're registering on ucas.com, okay, you will have the option to link your application to the college, and we ask all students to do this because it will allow us to be able to access their application. We can't change their application, but we can certainly look at it, review it, read it, etc. Okay, to connect the application to the college, okay, it will ask for a buzzword, and each of the different CCG colleges have a different buzzword. So it's important that the student makes contact with Progression Plus team or the Uni Connect team and find out what that buzzword is when they're doing their application. Most of them that have had the UCAS application workshop will be fully aware of what that buzzword is from the offset. So once they've registered, okay, they will then go straight into the application form, and you can see here in section 3, you can see all the different types of sections that need to be completed as part of the application. Now, the good news is majority of it is factual, okay, so it should be information that the student can get their hands on fairly straightforwardly. The two kind of sections, I guess, which really do need a lot of attention are the education section, making sure that students put down the right courses, the right qualifications that they have studied at secondary school and at college. Okay, and then also the personal statement, which is their chance to really come up with a piece of writing to explain why they want to study the course, but also why they would be such a good applicant for the university course that they're applying for. Okay, next slide, please, Leanne. So just a little bit more about personal statements, and mainly because this is, like I say, with the UCAS application, this is probably the part the students tend to spend an awful lot more time on, and perhaps also find it quite difficult to get started. So this is just like a breakdown, if you like, of what should be included in a personal statement, just to kind of get students started. The introduction to start with, yes, an introduction to subject choice with an opening sentence that grabs the attention of the admissions tutor. And it's really important that students, when they're writing their personal statements, always remember who are they writing it for, and it's the admissions tutors at the university. Okay, so in that first kind of introduction, they should be looking to answer the question, what subject do you want to study, and where has this idea come from? Where has this career aspiration come from? Okay, the next section is the, in green here, is all about chosen course and subject career knowledge. And this is where the student can really make links between what they've studied at college and perhaps previously at school, okay, and how that relates to what they're going on to study at university. Okay, so this forms the biggest part of most personal statements. Okay, you can talk about what they're looking forward to learning. You could talk about what you've enjoyed learning as part of the college course, and it's really hopefully demonstrating that the student has got a good understanding of what they're letting themselves in for, what kind of things would be covered as part of the course. Overall, when looking at personal statements, admissions tutors are looking for you, the student, to give them confidence that you're aware of what you're signing up for and have a clear interest in the subject and the career as well. Next, we then have the experience and skills, okay, and this is where students can talk about the relevant experience, but also, you know, if they've got part-time jobs which perhaps are not so relevant to the course they're applying for, what kind of transferable skills are they demonstrating from their jobs, their interests, their volunteering, which can relate to the course, relate to the university life, study, etc. So it's about making, again, relationships between what they've done and what they're looking to do at university. And that's the same with hobbies and interests. So if they've got things that they do outside of their studies, outside of their part-time jobs or volunteering, okay, they can put this down in the hobbies and interests section. And again, it's making sure that this is relevant to the study, the subject that you're looking to study, but also relevant to university life and study as well. Finally, like any good piece of writing, you've got the conclusion at the end, okay? And I guess this is, again, reminding those admissions tutors why you are such a good applicant. Why should they offer you a place on the course? So again, it might be referring to some of the main points that you made in the big chunk of the personal statement, so that they can really get a good picture of what your main strengths are. Okay, next one, thank you very much. So just to kind of recap, I guess, on the personal statements, good personal statements should have analysis. Okay, so it's about the student analysing the knowledge and skills that they've gained from school, college, okay, and showing the admissions tutor that they have what it takes. They have a lot to offer the course they're applying to. Reflection, yes, they need to reflect in their personal statement, going into detail about what they've learned from the experiences that they've had. Okay, and again, doesn't have to be necessarily always academic, but also to show what kind of achievements they've done, how much progress they've made, how they've developed their skills and knowledge. Examples, yep, okay, this is all about making sure that we're backing up things with actual examples. So, if we are referring to some of the skills that they've developed, how can they demonstrate it? And again, it's making sure that we back that up with evidence, okay? Because obviously when you're applying for university, you get through to the next stage, possible interview, they're going to refer to the personal statement. So we need to make sure that you'll be able to back it up with evidence at the end. All right, thank you.
Cool. Thank you,
I'm now
James.
going to hand you over to Alistair, who's going to talk to you about student finance.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. So just before I get started, the one thing I really want to make really clear, kind of the bottom line of student finance is money is not and should not be something that stops you going to university or carrying on with your education at Chichester College Group, or doing an HE course anywhere, or just continuing your education at all. A lot of people, I think, parents of young people or or anyone considering going into higher education think, oh, I can't afford that. I've got to apply for a job, or I have to get a job because I need to be earning money. I can't afford to go to university. I can't afford to do HE. Absolutely not the case. There is so much support available, as well as your student loans, which I'm going to go through now. There's loads of additional support available. There's no one is stopped from going to university by money, basically. So please don't let that be something that scares you away from going on to university or completing a higher education course. I'm going to talk a little bit now about what is available. So there's a couple of different types of loans. So everyone gets a tuition fee loan and a maintenance loan. The tuition fee loan covers up to $9,250 a year. And what this is just the cost of your tuition fees. So it's get paid directly to the university or directly to the college you're studying at. So for example, the tuition fees at Chichester College Group are actually much lower than that. I don't actually know kind of averages off the top of my head, but 9,000 is like a very high fee that you may pay at a lot of universities, but at Chichester College Group it is much lower than this. But how the tuition fee loan works is it will get paid directly to the college or directly to the university that you go to, so you don't really have to worry about that. A maintenance loan as well. This is given to you to help with your living expenses. So it helps with your paying your rent, it helps with eating, it helps with anything else you're going to be spending money on, anything fun or interesting you're doing, buying your course books, etc. And this is paid directly to you, and it can vary depending on where you live and where you study, and it's also dependent on your household income. So when you apply for student finance, you kind of put in your family details and how much income you have in your household, and you'll get allocated a certain amount depending on that. So the maximums for your maintenance loan are for if you're living at home, so you're not moving away from home to go to college or go to university, the maximum is $7,987 a year, and then the maximum if you're living away from home is $9,488 a year. And we're paying these back as well. I think someone might see that and think, oh my God, I'm going to be terribly in debt. I've got these tuition fees and these maintenance loans to pay. It's not really that much to worry about. The way these loans work is that you only pay them back once you are earning above a certain amount. Terribly off the top of my head, I've forgotten that figure. But the way I like to see it is you only earn it back if you're earning enough money that university has really paid for itself. I went to university, it's 10 years since I went to university, and I'm only paying back a few pounds every month, basically, a very small figure every month. And I've only just started paying it back recently. And it comes directly out your paycheck and you barely notice it. So the way it really works is you don't pay it back for many years, and you only pay it back if you're earning, above a certain number, which kind of justifies paying it back because you are earning a bit more than most people. So please don't look at this and think, oh no, I'm going to be saddled with debt. That's not really the case. it just comes out of your paycheck many years later, and it's not going to limit you from going to university. You get a lot of support. So you also get a lot of extra support available. So thank you, Leanne. These are a number of things that you may get if you have a disability or if you have some reason for needing extra support. So I'll just go through these one by one. The first one, DSA or Disability Students Allowance. If you have a disability or special educational need, you may be eligible to help with costs related to this. So you may get extra funding to help you during your time studying higher education. Adult dependent grant, that's if you're responsible for another adult, say you are married or have another adult that you are caring for, whilst you are at university or whilst you're studying a course, you can get extra money to support with that as well. Childcare cost and parents learning allowance. So these are two different things, but they are both to parents who have a child whilst they're studying. So childcare grant is for contribution to childcare costs. So the way this works is it helps pay for childcare that is needed to enable you to study. And the idea of this is no one's going to be prevented from studying an HE course because they have a young child. And parents learning allowance is extra cost to help with your course costs. So you can get extra funding to help pay for your resources, materials, course books, etc. So that's kind of on top of what you're getting in your maintenance loan. You'll get an additional allowance, and that's not a loan, it's just an additional allowance if you have children. And this really big one at the bottom, last but definitely not least, is scholarships and bursaries. So these can be offered by the college or university you go to. They can be offered by charities, and they're often to promote participation in certain courses or from certain backgrounds. So things like education and nursing, where the government is keen to encourage people to do those courses. There are lots of additional funding you can get if you're doing one of those courses, and some of them are quite large. So it's essentially like you're earning a salary whilst you're doing that course. I know that in teaching, you could be getting paid 27 grand to earn whilst you're doing the course. So it's essentially like working a well-paid full-time job whilst doing the course. And also they may be promoting people from certain backgrounds. So perhaps you're from a minority ethnic background, or perhaps you're from an area where not many people go to university. There's a whole range of reasons why you might be eligible for a scholarship and a bursary. And I'd really recommend going to looking up online. There's a website called the Scholarships Hub, and looking that up and looking at your courses as well, the courses you're applying to see, and going to your university to see if you're eligible for one of these. So to apply to student finance, there's kind of a long application process, but how it works is you go to the gov.uk website, or if you just type in student finance into Google, it should take you straight to this page. And there is a step-by-step guide. So it is a long application process with lots of details to fill out, but the government website takes you through it step by step. And there's also, if you're struggling with any of this, you can come to Progression Plus or one of us to help. So these are the steps here. So you'll go on the website and you'll get shown, you'll be able to check if you're eligible, find out how much loan you get. So you fill in your details and it gives you an idea of how much maintenance loan you're going to get, up to that max figure of 7,000 or 9,000. Check if you can get extra help. So all those things I've just talked about, disability, scholarships, etc. You can check if you're eligible for any extra support. And then you prepare your application and apply, and it takes you through it step by step. So if you go to the student finance website, all this process you're taken through step by step, and all that extra stuff that you might be eligible for, it helps you learn whether you're eligible for it or not. Cool, I think that's everything from me. So if we just move on to the next slide. Yeah, that is everything from me on student finance. Just to say one more thing is, I just want to remind people that the thing I said at the beginning, that please do not let money be something that prevents you from going on to HE, because there's so much support available. That's no reason to be scared off, so to speak. Sorry, I'm now going to pass on to, I think, Carol or someone that's going to do the questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alistair. Well, hopefully you've seen that there's lots of information for you to sort of take in. I know we have got a number of questions. So if I can go to Amy. Amy, is there some questions that people have posed that you'd like to answer or get answered?
Yeah, of course. So one of the first questions we've had in is about how much time students will get with tutors each week.
I think probably Karen, you might be in a position to answer that one.
Yeah, I will. And I can also sort of incorporate a couple of the other questions as well. So normally with a higher education course, you would expect to be in college around about 2 days a week. We do offer some part-time courses, which might only be in the evenings. And that will then allow me to just talk a little bit about some of the quite a few questions we've had about, can I work alongside studying at the college? So yes, absolutely. And because our courses are vocational in nature, it is actually advantageous if you have a part-time job alongside your qualification, particularly if it's related to the course that you're studying. And really, that's one of the benefits of studying a course at Chichester College Group, is that you can stay at home, and if you've got a part-time job, you can carry on with your part-time job. Somebody did ask a question about whether there's any work experience. I did put an answer in the Q&A. Some courses, there is a requirement to do some work experience, but it's not like you have to go and do a work placement for a year. It's usually relates to a work-based learning unit that we're delivering. So you can still carry on with your part-time job as well as you're studying for children. Studying your higher education course. Sorry, I'm looking at another question that's come up as well. And somebody else has put something about what I work full time and have children. I think we've answered that. But again, I think Alistair did mention that you can claim additional support from student finance for childcare requirements if you have got children and you do want to study higher education.
Yeah, just to add to that, so there was two. So if you have children, there's two separate extra pieces of funding you can get, and a NEVA visa loan, so you do not have to pay them back. You get childcare allowance, so that helps pay for any childcare costs you have. So, for example, if you're working and you're studying and you need someone to look after your children during that time, that pays for any costs that you incur because of that. And you also get an extra money paid to you to help with your course costs. That's extra money paid to you to help you fund resources or any items you need to help with your education, etc.
So I can see one of the questions leading on from that, Karen, that somebody's saying about working full time and have children. Can they, what support is available? I guess the working full time would depend on the type of course they're applying for as to what hours they would need to commit to that. But what sort of pastoral support is available for students?
Okay, so all our higher education students are allocated a higher education coach, which is responsible for your pastoral support, and they deal with a whole range of issues. So our HE coaches last year dealt with things like students that were suffering with mental health issues, obviously because of the lockdown and various other things. So we will signpost you to both. We've got in-college support, so we have in-college counsellors and other wellbeing support, but we can also signpost you to external support. We supported students that were in financial difficulties. So again, Alistair mentioned about the bursary. So if you're suffering financial hardship, you can apply for one of our non-refundable bursaries, which is around about £500 a year. We're allocated money from the Office for Students to support students that are in financial hardship. So that's really managed by our student support team, but our HE coaches will signpost you and support you with how to fill in those applications. And then really anything else other than problems sort of with the actual course and academic study, we can help you with. The other support that we have alongside your higher education courses, we run what we call a graduate attributes program, and that's to develop the study skills to go on to higher education, but also to make sure that you obtain good grades in the courses that you're studying with us, but also to the employability skills. So some research has recently been done about what skills employers are looking for and what they think are in short supply. And when I looked at that with Leanne, who runs the graduate attributes program, we covered off almost every single one of those employability skills in that program. So you've got the benefit of that alongside your higher education course as well.
Thank you, Karen. Amy, are there any other questions that need to be?
So Tanya's asked when she should apply for student finance.
Good question. I was actually just having a think about that. So thinking like how early. I think
I'll come in on that, Alistair, because I was talking to student finance today about this very thing. And they roll over, so they set up for each year, and she was saying to me it's around about March, April time each year. So you should really start applying for your student finance around Easter. But the really important thing for you to understand is if you go on to apply and there's no facility to apply for the year you're starting. So for instance, if you're thinking about applying for 22-23 and you go on to student finance and there's no option to have 2022 as your start date, then you've thought about it too early and it can cause complications. So when you're applying, apply around Easter, but if there's any issue around it's not quite looking how you think it should look for your start date, obviously we've got all the support that we've talked about around Progression Plus, UniConnect, various other people. If you're applying for a top-up degree, it's your HE coach. We're all there to support you, and we can have a look and see what's happening on your student finance application and make sure that you're applying for the right year.
James, I think I'm right. On the UCAS application, one of the options is to be kept up to date with information from student finance. So they would normally email, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if you've done your application and you tick that box, then you'll get notified by student finance when you're able to actually apply for the student finance. So Amy, are there any other questions that we need to cover?
Just one other question that I can see. So how does it work studying at college, but you still achieve a degree? Would you need to go to uni to study?
No, not necessarily. Some of our courses, so for instance, the foundation degree in dance that I mentioned, there is some study at the University of Chichester. We run the course, some at Chichester College and some at the University of Chichester. And the foundation degree in sport, you have the facility to go to the university. But for instance, the foundation degree in business, it's all delivered at Chichester College. So we just deliver the course at Chichester College on behalf of Portsmouth University.
Thank you.
Okay, so just looking through. So Jess is asking about any tips on personal statement if you haven't got work experience. James, do you want to offer some advice on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Work experience is only part of it, as you can see from the slides that we were looking at before. Majority bulk of it is about your kind of study and academic skills. So it's referring to the courses that you're doing at college and possibly before college. But if you don't have work experience, it's about thinking about how else can I demonstrate to a university that I've got what it takes, that I've got the skills that they're looking for in potential students. So, if you have roles and responsibilities elsewhere, whether that's during your time at college, or if you help other people out, if you volunteer. So yeah, it's really about looking at other ways you can demonstrate skills that you may not have through work experience.
Thank you, James. We've got a number of questions about what support is available. So we've got a question around, my child is in year 13 and first generation applicant to uni. Will you get any help from the college? Yes, absolutely. And Progression Plus on each campus will be able to provide that support. So if he hasn't done so already, then he should make contact with them. There's lots of information on the CCG online and get registered on the UCAS hub as a starting point. We've got questions about, will the student need predicted grades for the application? That will all be provided through the teaching staff as part of the reference. And that was another question from Darren. So the reference is provided by the teachers, and that is again arranged through the college. So the student needs to focus on getting their application made on UCAS, so we know they're actually interested in applying, and we will make the arrangements for the reference. So hopefully that has answered that question for you. Amy, are there any other questions that you can see that we need to answer?
Not that I can see at the moment, no.
Okay, fabulous. So let me just see if there's any others coming through. Okay, so if there's not any other further questions, then I'd like to wish you a very good evening. I hope you found the event to be useful. All the resources and information we've talked about are on our CCG online and our events page, and our contact details are on the screen. You will receive an email from our marketing team that will include a link to the event tonight and all the resources, and obviously get in touch with our Progression Plus teams. If you're a student, pop in and see us. And we would like to wish you a very good evening. So thank you for joining us today.